Hey everyone, this is Ben with RegisteredNurseRN.com, and in this video I'm going to talk about speech language pathology, and I'm going to give you a quick rundown of the job duties, the education requirements, some of the likes and dislikes, and then I'll give you some detailed salary statistics so you can know exactly how much money these individuals make on average. So let's get started. What are the job duties for a speech language pathologist? Well, these individuals evaluate patients' speech, language, or swallowing abilities. A lot of times they will work with stroke victims or the elderly who cannot swallow well. They also create and identify treatment plans for these patients. They will train patients to strengthen and use those muscles in swallowing. They also educate family members on ways to assist patients with speech problems and again, with their diets and things like that. They will assist with language development or speech problems with children. And so if children are having a cognitive problem learning how to speak, or if they have something like a rhythm problem or a lot of stammering or stuttering, things like that, they will also work with those types of patients. And they also maintain and update patient records. Now, what are the education requirements if you want to become a speech language pathologist? Well, generally speaking, you're going to have a master's degree. So first off, you do want to get an undergraduate degree, which will be a bachelor's degree in this case. And you want to try to major in something like communication sciences or disorders. And some universities are offering that as an undergrad option. If you don't have that option, you may want to go with something like communication, speech, or English. That may help you prepare and reduce the amount of prerequisite courses that you may have to take for the master's program. But you can sometimes get an unrelated degree and then go back and get a master's in this. Now, once you go into the master's program, you're going to want to get a degree in speech language pathology, and you are going to want to do that at an accredited university. So that's really important because they're very strict about this, and they want you to get a degree from usually a regionally accredited university. And you will learn classroom skills and may have to take skills examinations and so forth. And you also have to do a 36-week clinical fellowship. And now once you get your degree over with and meet all those clinical requirements, you can sit for the board's exam, and you will have to pass that. And once you do that, then you will have to also maintain continuing education usually throughout your life, that usually just means that you have to attend some seminars and do maybe periodic testing and things like that. Now, there is a website, which is the American Speech Pathology Hearing Association website, the ASHA.org, and they have more information about things like certification and the exact education requirements and things like that if you want to check out more information about that. Okay, now let's talk about some of the likes and dislikes for this profession. And one thing that these individuals love is helping others. And they will, for example, have a stroke victim who's struggling with swallowing, and they're able to retrain them to swallow and help them identify certain foods to avoid and things like that. And they see their quality of life improve. They also like to work with young children and see how a child won't communicate because maybe they've come from a rough background or have some cognitive problem or something like that. And just working with that child and see that child open up and blossom. And that's really a huge rewarding thing for individuals in this profession. Another thing is that they love the job options, because with this profession you can work in hospitals, you can work in schools, you can work sometimes in private practices. You also can work with a wide range of patients. You can work with the elderly, you can work with stroke victims, you can work with children. So there's a lot of variation with this job, and people really like that aspect of it. What about some of the dislikes? Well, they don't like seeing people struggle, kids being bullied, stroke victims having trouble eating, things like that. Those things can be a little bit disheartening sometimes, so that's one thing. Another thing is that jobs can be somewhat competitive in some areas, but we'll talk about some of those statistics in a moment. And then finally, sometimes people won't understand their scope of practice, and that can be kind of frustrating because, for example, they won't understand that they're more than just teaching someone how to speak properly. They actually do a lot more than that. And so sometimes they'll find that frustrating. Okay, now let's talk about the jobs outlook and salary statistics. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, which is the government organization that records and collects jobs data, they're projecting a 21% growth rate between years 2014 and 2024, which is really good for this profession. Now, as far as the salary is concerned, the average annual salary is going to be $76,900, and the average hourly wage $36.97. Now, that's only average, and you may make more or less depending on the state in which you live, the industry in which you work, your years of experience, and things like that. So let's talk a little bit about that. The industries with the highest level of employment for this position: number one, elementary and secondary schools, and the average salary there is $68,150. Offices of health practitioners came in at number 2 with $82,770 as the average salary there. And then general medical and surgical hospitals was the third with $80,810 for the average salary there. Now, the top paying industries for this profession: medical and diagnostic labs, $105,680 was the average there. Home healthcare services came in at number 2, $97,410. And then nursing care facilities, number 3, $91,560. And the top paying states for this profession was Connecticut, $88,460 was the average. California came in at number 2, $88,330. And then Alaska, number 3, $88,300. But what about the lowest paying states? Well, South Dakota came in at the bottom, $56,110 was the average. Mississippi, number 2, $62,620. And then West Virginia, number 3, $62,740. And we have a whole playlist of other healthcare salaries if you'd like to learn about some of these other healthcare professions. And I'll have an article up on our website. If you click the link or the card that pops up above, you can go to that article and it will have salary statistics for all 50 states if you want to check that out. So thank you so much for watching, and please subscribe.